Now, I can't make any guarantees, but I think if you make this for your non-vegan family members and friends, you're going to change the mind of a few skeptics there, because this meal is delicious. Let me show you what I'm starting with. I just have 2 veggie burger patties here, and I have just put a little bit of soy sauce on them. Now, these are my husband's favorite brand of veggie burger. Use whatever kind of veggie burger that you like, or if you haven't tried any veggie burgers before, this would be a good one to start with. If you're just going vegan or making this for non-vegans, this is an Impossible patty. And they're really good. They have pretty simple ingredients. You can look at the ingredient label. There's no weird science going on there. It's just a veggie burger patty. But use your favorite one. And I like to put a little soy sauce on them. Let them kind of marinate in that. It's really good that way. And I'm just going to hit them also with a little bit of black pepper. And the soy sauce has plenty of salt for those. And I'm just going to set those aside while I show you the rest of the recipe. What we're going to make is a veggie burger with mushroom gravy over polenta. And it sounds like a lot, but it's very simple, very easy to make, and so satisfying. And it takes just a few ingredients. So we have our veggie burgers, and I have some mushrooms that I've cleaned, and I just have some little cremini mushrooms. You can use white button mushrooms also. I have 1 package of those, and I have 1 medium-sized yellow onion. And all the other ingredients are just some quick cooking polenta. I like this brand. It's real delicious. It cooks really quickly. So I have a cup of that. I have, for our gravy, some veggie stock powder, some mushroom powder, and some nutritional yeast for the polenta. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need. And it comes together so quick and so easy. So while our burgers marinate there, I'm just going to quickly just give our mushrooms a rough chop. The thing that takes the longest to cook is the mushroom gravy. And it comes together in just a few minutes. So I just want to get it going first. Just going to slice up my mushrooms. And the same with the onion. I'm just going to give it a quick slice up. And don't throw away your scraps here. These are great for making your own homemade. And once that's done, I'm just going to get it into a hot pan. So I'm just putting my mushrooms in first to let them cook down just a little bit. So I've got my heat all the way high, and I've just got my mushrooms in here first, cooking down just a little bit before I add my onion. I want them to release a little bit of their water. And it's not necessary to use any oil or butter or anything like that here at this point. If you need to, if they start to stick, which would be kind of unusual for mushrooms, you could turn down the heat a little bit and add a little bit of water. But the mushrooms have so much water, they'll start to release that into the pan, and you kind of want them to get a little bit dried and a little bit toasted, because that's where the flavor really intensifies. So while my mushrooms cook down just a little bit, I am going to go ahead and start my polenta. It takes just a couple of minutes to make the polenta, and I just have some hot water here, about 1.5 cups. And I have my cup of polenta here with about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I have the heat on medium-high. And you just want to stir this together. This is so easy, but it's one of those things that's so satisfying and so delicious. If you've never tried polenta, it's really unique. It has more flavor than, like, say, cream of wheat or just plain grits. It's delicious, but it's usually full of lots of butter and lots of cheese. But we're going to make it really delicious with our gravy and a little bit of nutritional yeast just to give it a little bit of cheesiness in there. So once it starts to cook down just a little bit and thicken up, this is actually ready in like 5 minutes, this quick cooking polenta. So it takes like almost no time at all. And once it's nice and kind of thick and creamy, try to stir out that lump there. I'm just going to turn off the heat and add 3 to 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, which is optional. It's optional if you, or you could use a little bit less or a little bit more. And once I have that nice and incorporated, I'm just going to give it a taste and see if it needs any more salt. Nope, it's good. And I'm just going to pop the lid on it and set it aside. And let's see how our mushrooms are doing here. They're getting nice and browned and toasty, which is exactly what we want. And we can go ahead and put our onions in at this point and let them caramelize just a little bit. All right, so just about perfect. Looks delicious and smells amazing. Oh, it smells so amazing. It smells like Mom's cooking dinner. Is there any better smell than mushroom and onion cooking in the kitchen? It just smells so good. So while this is finishing up, we're just about ready to make the gravy. I'm just going to pop my veggie burgers into the air fryer for 7 to 8 minutes at 400 degrees. Now that'll vary on whatever type of veggie burger you use or your air fryer. Also, this meal is great with even tofu or tempeh, or if you want to leave it out completely and just have the mushroom and onion gravy over the polenta with a nice side salad or some fresh green beans. That makes an excellent meal also. So let me pop these in the air fryer and we'll get on to making the gravy. The onions are getting nice and caramelized. And our little mushrooms are nice and toasty. So to make the gravy, I am going to make just a traditional flour-based gravy. But you could also do a cornstarch gravy or like another thickener. You could thicken it with aquafaba maybe. But we're going to do this traditional today, and we're going to start by making a roux. So I have turned down the heat over the skillet to about medium low, and I'm just taking out the mushroom and onion because it's easier to get a lump-free gravy if you just go ahead and take these out. If you're not super worried about it, you can skip that step. All right, so I'm just going to set that aside, and into my pan I'm going to add just a little bit of vegan butter. You can use any kind of fat, would work here. You could use a little bit of oil, and I'm just going to use about a tablespoon just to get our roux going. And like I said, this is just a super traditional gravy. So to my butter, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour and just a pinch of salt and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm pretty sure I need a fork or a whisk. And I'm just going to stir this around until it makes like a thick paste, kind of like a peanut butter consistency. Like a thick peanut butter. And the pan is getting hot. So once my roux has cooked down just a little bit, and you'll see that the paste is turning just a little bit of a darker brown color, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons each veggie stock powder and mushroom powder. And this will give the gravy some really good umami. And this is my favorite cooking mushroom powder. It's just dehydrated, dried mushrooms ground up, really good stuff. I'll put a link below. I get this off of Amazon and it lasts a really long time and it's really affordable. So this is my favorite one. And it has a great flavor. So just into the pan with those, and to that I'm just going to add some warm water, slowly at first so you can stir out all of the clumps. Oh, this smells so good. This is going to be such a good meal. And this meal comes together really quickly, really quickly. And in fact, you can even just do this in, you could cook your burgers in this pan, then your mushroom and onion, and then throw your gravy in and just do it in one pan. But when you do it like this, it comes together in about 20 minutes. So a really quick, satisfying meal that you can make even on a weeknight. Oh, looks so good. It looks so good. I can't wait to eat this. All right, my veggie burgers are almost ready. I'm just going to quickly clean out my iron skillet so it's ready to go the next time. And we'll be ready to plate this up and have some dinner. All right, so let's plate this up. I heard Mr. Tony say that he's really hungry, and this is one of his favorite vegan meals. He can't wait to eat it. He's excited about it. And I'm just plating up a nice big pile of the polenta. I'm going to top that with the veggie burger and some gravy. And the perfect side to this is just a nice fresh green beans or fresh broccoli, maybe some fresh asparagus. I don't know if you can see out the window, but it's very nasty outside. It's sleeting, snowing, some ice. It's bad enough that they closed work early today and I had the afternoon off, and I thought this would be a perfect time to share my very basic veggie chili recipe. It's one pot, it comes together really quick, it's delicious, and it is customizable. And chili is just one of those things, you know, on a cold day, it's perfect. This recipe is so easy, you could even do it on a weeknight. But, you know, with any soup or stew or chili, it's always better the longer you can let it just kind of sit and simmer. So I have a couple hours this afternoon. I'm just going to put it in the pot, get it going, and let it simmer away a little while I catch up on some chores around the house. There's really nothing else to do. So let me show you what I'm starting with as far as the recipe goes. The most difficult thing you're going to have to do is chop up a few veggies. And just use whatever veggies you like in your chili. I like to put all 3 colors of peppers. I've got a green bell pepper, a red one, and a yellow one. I have a yellow onion. Yellow onions are the sweetest, and I really like that with the spiciness of the chili. I have some vegetable broth. This is a homemade vegetable broth, but you can use whatever vegetable broth you like, or even some better than bouillon paste. Really good in the chili too. This is a really rich one that I added a lot of mushrooms to, so it's really nice and dark and rich, and I simmered it down a really long time. I had a lot of extra, you know, veggie scraps and mushroom scraps left over from the holidays that I just kind of shoved into a bag and put in the freezer and waited to make a veggie stock. So that's what this is. Super delicious and so easy to do, so don't throw away your veggie scraps. It makes something very delicious. Anyway, I have some tomato sauce, some whole tomatoes, and I have 3 kinds of beans here. You can use whatever beans you like to eat. You can cook them from dry or just use canned beans. I have some black beans, some pinto beans, and some cannellini or white kidney beans. Red kidney beans are also very delicious in chili, but I happen to be out except for dried, and I didn't plan ahead enough to cook the dried beans. So we're just going to go with what I have in the can and keep it super easy and simple and just, you know, your basic chili recipe. And also I have 3 tablespoons of chili seasoning. And you can use a packet or you can do like I do and make your own. And I will write the recipe that I like for chili. I'll write it down in the description box. So if you want to make your own, you can make a big jar of it and just keep it in the pantry. The reason why I like this so much, when you customize these chili seasonings, taco seasonings, those kinds of seasonings, you can control the sodium and the salt and make sure that there aren't any extra, additives in there like, I hate to say it, but sawdust. I mean, look at the ingredients. But packaged is fine. Just buy a quality one that you know uses quality ingredients and not any extra additives or anything like that. But if that doesn't bother you, eat the sawdust. It doesn't bother some people, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. They say it's fine for consumption, so there you go. And I also have some cornmeal in here, some finely ground cornmeal that I'll put in at the end. And that's what gives this veggie chili just such a deep, rich thickness that you don't usually get with just an all vegetable chili. And you could certainly also put in whatever kind of meat substitute you like to use. You could do a walnut and mushroom meat, or you could do like your favorite vegan meat. Gardein has crumbles. Beyond and Impossible both have crumbles, or you could use the textured vegetable protein or pea protein. I'm not putting any in today, but occasionally I do. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in and if I need the protein for the day. But today I'm just doing veggies. I had plenty of protein for breakfast and snacked on my yummy little protein balls for lunch. And I wanted to save some appetite to have a nice big bowl of chili. So I've had plenty of protein today, so I'm just going to do and my onion is kind of frozen, so that's why I'm having so much trouble. So I'm just going to get all these veggies chopped and get them in my pan. I'm not adding any oil to the pan. I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of water to saute the veggies in. And we're not going to add any oil or any fat to this recipe really. So feel free to cook it in oil if you want to do that. I would use a nice neutral oil like avocado oil would be good in this, or just your regular oil. If you're sauteing vegetables at a little bit higher of a heat, I wouldn't recommend olive oil. Alright, and I'm just going to get these pretty finely chopped, just so I can have like a bite of kind of everything on my spoon. But you can chop them as big or as small as you like. That's why I love chili too, is it's just so customizable. And every region like of the United States has a different chili recipe, right? This is just loosely based on the one that I grew up with, except it just doesn't have the ground beef. So my dad made like a lovely, wonderful chili, and we always enjoyed it on snow days when we were home and in the fall. So it kind of hits that little bit of nostalgia for most people too. And I'm just going to go ahead and put my onions in. My pan is getting nice and hot over here. And I don't want to let it get too hot before I put something in there. So my onions are pretty frozen. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in and cool the pan down just a little bit. I don't want to scorch the onions. I just want to get them nice and translucent with maybe just a touch of caramelization on there, because caramelization does equal flavor. And when you're cooking with no fat and no oil, that's a little bit too hot. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra broth. Calm down, calm down. I'm going to take that off the heat for just a second. When you're cooking with no fat, you want to add flavor, wherever you can get it added in. And when you're doing something like sauteing onions and vegetables, a good place to get that flavor in is by getting a little bit of caramelization on your onions. And I'm going to go in next with the bell pepper. If you've ever noticed the different colors of bell peppers, each of them take a different amount of time to cook down, right? The green ones seem to take a little bit longer to cook down, so I like to get them in there and going first before I add the red. And then, of course, if you're using yellow or orange, they're the softest of the bell peppers, and they take a little bit longer, or they don't take as long. Sorry, I'm concentrating on not chopping my finger there. They don't take as long to cook as the green bell pepper. So that's just been my experience. If there are any chefs out there, you can let me know if that's right or not. Anybody in food science. How beautiful does that look already? And it already smells amazing. I'm just going to hit this with a little bit of salt. Just a couple pinches. Get those cooking down. And I'm just going to saute these for about 5 minutes or so till they're nice and tender, before I add in the rest of my ingredients. In the meantime, I'm just going to drain and rinse all of my beans. All right, we're starting to simmer just a little bit, and next I'm going to add my spice mix. And in my spice mix, I have garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, some Mexican oregano, some cayenne, some chipotle powder, a little bit of salt, and I think that's it. And I have cumin and a little bit of nutritional yeast. And again, I'll write that recipe in the description box below. And I just want to get that going. That smells good. That smells really good. It smells like chili now. And I just want to cook down the spices for 2 or 3 minutes. Let all of those flavors really develop. That's what you're looking for in the chili, with that slow cooked, kind of all day cooked flavor. That comes from giving your spices a little bit of cooking time. So next I'm just going to add the rest of my ingredients. I've got my 3 cans of beans here, rinsed and drained. And this makes a lot. If you're not cooking for a whole family, then Maybe invite somebody over if you can, or bring some to lunch the next day, share with your coworkers, or you could even pop it in the freezer. All right, and next in with my yummy tomato sauce, nice and thick and rich, and I want to make sure I get all of that out of there. So you could use a little bit of water to rinse that out. I'm just going to use a little bit of my vegetable broth and get all of that tomato sauce that I can out of there. And I have about 4 cups. This is about 4 cups of vegetable broth. And I'm going in with all of that. Just going to give that a good stir. And this would be a good time to go ahead and taste it and see if we want to add a little bit of salt. You'll want to let it cook a little bit before you make your final decision on how much salt. And that's pretty good. It's almost perfect, but after it cooks a little bit, I'll taste it again and we'll see if we need to add any salt. And I'm going to just pop a lid on this and let it come to a simmer and turn it down to low. And I'm just going to let it hang out for a little while this afternoon while I go about doing some other things around the house. And at the end, I'll put in my masa or my cornmeal. So after my chili has cooked down for a couple of hours, I got some stuff done and the house just smells so amazing. I can't wait to have a bowl of this. But first I want to add my masa or cornmeal mixture. And I have just added about a 1/4 cup of water, warm water, to the masa dough or masa flour, which is just basically corn. It's a fine cornmeal. Right, so you could use any kind of cornmeal that you have, or you could leave it out. You could thicken it with a little bit of vegan sour cream or vegan yogurt. But I like this because it just adds such a unique flavor and rich thickness to the chili. I really love it. So if you haven't tried it, maybe try it and check it out. So I'm just going to pour that in and stir it around. And this will take just a few minutes to cook into the chili. I don't know, maybe about 10 minutes. And you don't want to boil it at this point. You want to turn it all the way down low to where it's not simmering or boiling, so you don't get any clumps. Unless you like clumps. I mean, that's fine too. Alright, I'm going to let this cook for just a few minutes and I will show you how I like to plate it up. So let me show you how I like to serve this up. I can't wait to eat this. So I just have here a few corn chips. These are just corn tortillas that I cut up into triangles and popped in the air fryer for about 7 or 8 minutes. It makes crispy little tortilla chips, no oil needed, and I like that. And I'm just going to serve up a bowl. I see a nice big juicy chunk of tomato I want in there. That looks so good. And I like to top mine with just a little bit of vegan yogurt. And a few pickled jalapenos because I like it extra spicy. That's optional. And you can always buy the mild jalapenos too, but I like to get the hot ones. And in the summer, I like to pickle them myself. They're so good. Pickled peppers, pickled onions. And the acidity in there will really bring out the flavor in the chili too. So this is how I serve mine up. If I had some cilantro, I would add that on here too. If you're a cilantro fan, that's really good on chili, or some chopped red onion. But today was not a go to the grocery store day, and I don't have those things. So this is how I am having mine. Give it a little taste. Try not to burn my mouth. It's good. It's good, y'all. I'm going to go sit down and enjoy this and relax a little while, and I will see you with the next recipe. So the next recipe I'd like to share with you is something I think we can all agree on, and that's pasta. Everybody loves pasta, and this one is delicious. It has a couple of extra steps that makes it so rich and satisfying that I promise you nobody will miss the fact that there's not a ton of meat and fat in this spaghetti. They will love it. So let me show you what I'm starting with. I have 2 red bell peppers that I have roasted on top of the stove until they're nice and charred. And I just set those aside in a grocery bag.
It might just be that he was out and threw a winter coat, now he's inside. I mean, I can't imagine he spent too much time out there. He's fat as fuck.
Crushed tomatoes. I have a few cashews that I soaked in hot water. I have some nutritional yeast and some soft tofu. The soft tofu and the cashews are going to give the sauce just a nice rich creaminess, and this is kind of like it just reminds me of like a roasted red pepper Alfredo sauce, and it is so delicious. So I've already put the pasta in some hot boiling salted water, and I've got it going, and so I'm just going to get our sauce going. It's a weeknight. Well, actually it's a Sunday night, but I've worked all week. It's a work night for me and a work night in the morning. So you can certainly do this for dinner on a weeknight. It seems like a lot of ingredients, but it's really quite simple. So I'm just going to get my tomato paste going first. And this is one of those kind of chefy secrets that you want to do to impart a lot of rich flavor and umami into dishes, is just give your tomato paste a little bit of time to cook down and go from bright red to like a brick red color. And that's where you're going to get all of that flavor for probably about 2 or 3 minutes. And the spices that I'm using today are just 1 clove of garlic, which I have put in my cashews to blend up with my tofu. And I have some salt, pepper, I have crushed red pepper. I have about a teaspoon, which is, you know, it makes it a little spicy. I like a lot of spice, so I like to put a little bit extra on top of my cooked spaghetti too. So adjust that to taste. I would start out with about 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon, depending on how hot your family likes pasta. So I have that. I have some Italian seasoning and some extra basil, because I think this is delicious with a lot of basil. All right, and while that cooks down a little bit more, I'm just going to quickly clean off my bell peppers, and I'm just going to do that by taking the back of a spoon and just scraping off most of the char. And the oven is preheated. Mr. Tony, that's my husband, who's not vegan and loves this pasta. I might say that a few times. This video was really inspired by him. He really thought that I should share some recipes that, you know, he likes to eat, that maybe some other non-vegan family members would enjoy out there. So these are some of his favorites. And he's going to have garlic bread with his. I'm not going to have garlic bread with mine. I think I'll have some air fried broccoli. You know, just because I've got like gym goals, you know, goals in the gym. Trying to get as much protein and healthy veggies in me as possible. So bread, garlic bread. He'll use some vegan butter and some garlic on there. It's just not on my menu today, but feel free to add it, you know, to your pasta, because it is always the perfect accompaniment to any kind of pasta, right? And after I have these just cleaned off, I'm just going to remove the seeded part. I'm just throwing the rest of it right in the blender with the cashews. So super easy there. I have my red peppers in there, my cashews, and 1 clove of garlic. And our tomato paste is looking pretty good here. So I'm just going to add my can of crushed tomatoes. And you can see this meal comes together real quick. I'm just going to turn down the heat now. I had it at about medium-high to cook the tomato paste. Now I'm just going to turn it down to about medium-low so that this doesn't boil up and splash all over me, because I don't want that. I put on an apron, but I don't want it splashing all over my nice white t-shirt sleeves here. I managed to work all day in this shirt and not get anything on it, so. And we just want to let this cook down a little bit with the spices while our pasta finishes cooking. It's got like another 6 or 7 minutes. I added a whole teaspoon of salt to this. You can adjust the salt or leave it out if you're doing salt-free and oil-free. That's fine too. There's plenty of other flavor and spice in here. If you're avoiding salt, you don't have to put that in. But if you need the salt, like I do, I need the salt because I need the sodium. I need the electrolytes. I've been working out a lot, sweating a lot, so I need that little bit of salt in there. So now would be a good time to just taste and see if you want to adjust the spices. Just keep in mind that the longer it cooks down, you know, the more the flavor of the spices will kind of come out in the sauce. And if you'd like to, you could add garlic powder instead of the clove of garlic in here. And you could double or triple. You could put 2 or 3 cloves of garlic in the pepper sauce if you wanted to, if you like a lot of garlic. I like some garlic, and sometimes I'm in the mood for like a lot of garlic. But this is just the basic recipe that I go with that seems to be on the level that everybody likes, is 1 clove of garlic. It's not too garlicky, but you can really taste the richness of the flavor in there. Okay, let's see what we can. I think we have plenty of room in there to put our tofu and our nutritional yeast. I don't know if you have one of these NutriBullet blenders, but I love this thing. I use it almost every day. It's like my favorite tool in the kitchen. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning. If you overfill it, it will start to come out over the sides. It's a huge mess to clean, so just be careful. That fill line that's on there, I would, you know, kind of follow that rule. It's okay to overfill it a little bit, but you got to be careful. Alright, and I'm just going to add all of this right into the tomato sauce. And this makes enough sauce for like a whole pound of pasta to be really coated and drenched in the sauce. You could probably even double the amount of pasta and use whatever kind of pasta that you like, whatever kind of pasta shape. I'm going with whole wheat spaghetti tonight because I have like a little bit of a stockpile on it, and you know, that's what I need to use up. That's what's in the pantry. But this is perfect for little bow ties or shells or cavatelli, anything, or a Hearty, because it has, you know, the little divot in the middle that will really hold the sauce. It would be great with ziti. Good stuff. There's no wrong way. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to use a specific sauce with a specific pasta. I'm part Italian and I can tell you that. Don't let people tell you there are rules about pasta. There's no rules about pasta, except to salt the water. There is that rule. Don't forget to salt the water. Oh, this smells amazing. All right, and while this cooks down just a little bit more, I'm going to give it about 10 or 15 minutes to just kind of cook together and cook down a little bit. And I'm going to get my pasta ready. I think it's about done. It's about ready to be drained over there. I'm just going to let it hang out in a bowl on top of the stove to keep it warm. Don't rinse it. There are occasions where you can rinse pasta, but this isn't one of them. Don't rinse your pasta. All right, so I have a nice big bowl of pasta here. Let me make some room, see how I want to do this. Be smart about it so I don't make a mess. And I'm just going to pour my sauce over and get it mixed in really well. Looks like I need a pair of tongs. And plate this up for Mr. and Tony and I to have for dinner. Oh, this is going to be so good, so good. And I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to the channel. And definitely comment and share and let me know what you think about the recipes. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and message me. Any questions or concerns, anything like that. I try to be available and answer any direct messages.